Hey everybody, this is a departure for me today, but I wanted to do something fun. And, I don't know if you know, but I literally love Sex and the City. I always have. Loved the show. Hate the reboot. So this is episode 7, where I'm going to talk about how much I hate this reboot and why. This show is called And Just Like That. And I will say that the one thing that has been bothering me is that throughout this entire 7 episodes now, we have not seen Carrie write until this very moment, episode 7. She's finally back in front of her computer and she's finally writing. And I have found this to be so unbelievable that Carrie was not writing anything and that she's on this awful, cringeworthy podcast. Writers write. That's what they do. And the idea that Carrie Bradshaw would ever be living her life without writing makes no sense. But they go through this montage of the seasons changing while she's writing so that suddenly there's this book. And by the way, why is she dressed like the Joker? What the hell is this look? Why do they keep slicking her hair back like this? She looks terrible. They make her look so old. And she doesn't look bad. She looks great. Actually, here I'm trying to take a screenshot of how bad it is. She looks really good, but they keep slicking her hair back and emphasizing every line on her face and making her look 30 years older than she is. Whenever they put her hair like this, she looks like she's 80 years old. Take her hair down and she looks her age or a little younger, like she looks good. But what is this outfit? This is not... Carrie Bradshaw would not be caught dead wearing a Joker suit, purple blazer, what? And this is not the only blazer they've put her in. This is like the 3rd or 4th one that I've seen. Last season, or episode 6, was like a maroon men's suit with this hair so severe. I don't understand what the stylists are doing to her, but Sarah Jessica Parker should be so upset with them for making her look like this, because she does not look that old and that terrible, but they're making her look that way, and it's so bizarre. All right, anyway, then Charlotte and her new friend LTW, who actually is one of my favorite new characters. I love LTW. She's funny. They're playing tennis. They're super into it. This is what they do now. So Charlotte's making friends, and LTW is she's funny. All right, so now we go to the farmer's market, and Miranda is waiting for Steve, and she's screaming at him on the phone in front of people, just berating him for not being able to find her. I hate the way they have made Steve in this show. They have aged him so ridiculously, where he is now like a doddering old deaf fool, and Miranda just hates him, and it just comes out of all her pores. And this is just so... It's not like their relationship at all, which was always loving. And here we have the professor who, for some reason is in the show. I don't know why. She's not interesting or funny, and I don't find anything about this storyline interesting at all. We already went through the infertility with Charlotte, so they're just kind of redoing another storyline about infertility with a character we don't know or care about. So now Steve shows up, and look at, they've just made him so confused and old looking, and he's ranting about, now he left his wallet and he has to go back. He's just so awkward, and now he's running into people. I mean, this was not Steve. It's just, I don't know who that guy is, but that is not Steve. Not the Steve that we know anyway, and I don't get it. So now Carrie's back with her publisher. Now look how nice she looks with her hair down. Why the hell do they keep putting her in that severe bun and making her look like the old lady who lived in a shoe? I don't understand. And now they're back at so now they're out to eat. I like how they've put Seema in the empty chair, because the empty chair where Samantha used to be really is a hole in the show. And I like Seema. Seema's an interesting character. She's telling Carrie that she's put her on a dating site because her book is too sad and she needs to have something hopeful at the end. That's what the publisher told her. So she is going to go out on a date, which is what she should have done, and where this should have gone, like, I don't know, 3 episodes ago. Look, see, now they've styled Carrie nice. She looks good. She's got her hair down. She looks younger. She looks fresh and happy. But this is one of the only times in this show we're going to see her looking like herself, because then they're going to put her back in the bun. Harry is always fun to have on screen. Charlotte and Harry are funny, and he's kind of upset that she's spending all this time with LTW, and he wants to play tennis too. I'm glad they've given him some more of a role. So now they're playing tennis, and there's this weird thing where Charlotte trips him, he falls down, and she doesn't even say she's sorry. And then she goes into this whole feminist rant about how she should not have to say sorry. Women say sorry too much. And it's ridiculous. If you knock your husband over and you have to help him to get him up, you should say, I'm sorry, honey, I didn't mean to knock you over. And I don't know why they made this big fight, but they did make a funny thing happen here where Charlotte and Harry end up having this public fight on the street in front of their new friends. And then Charlotte says, oh no, now we're those couple, those people who fight in the street, and they're all embarrassed, and it's funny because then towards the end of the episode it comes back around that everybody is those people. Like, at some point you're going to fight with your husband in the street. So this was actually a funny scene, and I don't think I've laughed throughout this entire series until this episode, so maybe things are looking up, but I really don't think there's any saving it at this point. I'm just saying. This scene was funny, and I did get a good laugh out of it. So at least there's that. And then, oh God, this is so bad. So Miranda, who says she does not have sex with Steve anymore, which I don't understand, because that was one thing these two always had. Steve was the best sex she ever had, right? So now she's trying to get him interested, and he's acting like he has not ever had sex before. He keeps telling her things like, "Oh, I'm really rusty." Do men forget how to have sex? That doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for why their sex life is in the toilet. No one ever talks about why they're not having sex or what is the problem. It just appears that Steve is just totally, he has no idea what he's doing anymore. He just forgot. He forgot how to have sex with his wife. And it's like taking forever to get him interested in fooling around in the kitchen. And of course, Miranda is asking him to do the same disgusting things that Che did to her. Che Diaz, the worst character on earth. And so she's wanting to relive this, which is gross. And I'm going to skip ahead here so that we don't get too graphic, because this gets gross. So it just is bad. It doesn't go well. No one is enjoying this. Steve seems to sort of be getting into it, but Miranda's like, no, I'm done, so forget it. And she ends up going back to loading the dishwasher, and we're just supposed to believe that Steve has no game whatsoever anymore. He lost his game. All that game that he had, they couldn't keep, Miranda out of bed. Like, she was in bed with him all the time. It's all gone. Steve just has no clue anymore how to make love, which is bizarre. Now, Carrie goes on a date, and look at what they've done to her. Look how she looks. Oh, no. Again with the blazer, the manly blazer, and the slicked back hair. What are we doing in the styling department? She looks 80. And she's so lovely. Why would you do this to her? She never wore her hair like this in the series. In the series, her hair was always down and wild and curly and beautiful, or she would blow it out, but it was always down. She never did this slick back thing. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, the date's very awkward, and they both have lost a spouse, and so she's feeling awkward, and they get drunk because they can't handle it. And now the weirdest thing ever, this dude just starts puking on the street. Like, how much did they drink? I mean, I don't know if she's puking because she's watching him puke, or if she's that drunk that she's puking too. But it's just a very strange scene, and although it was a little funny, it was kind of funny. I mean, of all the bad things that could happen, that's one of the worst on a first date. So I actually enjoyed her being on a date, though. This should have happened a while ago. Anyway, now Lisa Todd, whatever her name is, LTW and her husband are doing this auction, and she keeps forgetting to put the microphone up to her face. It's a funny moment. He keeps telling her, would you please put the microphone up? So now we're starting to see that this perfect couple also gets annoyed with one another, which is funny. I would actually watch a show about these two. They're funny. One of the only comic relief in this thing. So Anthony is back, and he's part of the crew now, kind of taking over for where Samantha was, or for where her other friend, who is now gone, who I've totally forgotten his name now. How is that possible? Harry and Charlotte, again, still fighting about the not saying sorry thing, which is just silly. Totally silly. And, she's just going into this feminist rant. And now everyone's most hated character, Che Diaz, takes the stage because, of course, she's the only comedian in New York, I guess, who does anything. And she's terrible. And of course they have straight women in the crowd who are like all over this person, and they just can't, they're just all hyped up over Che Diaz. All the straight girls just love Che Diaz. And no, I will not call her they. I just can't do it. So Miranda, of course, hears Che, and she's obsessed with Che, so hears her, and Carrie didn't tell Miranda that Che was going to be there, which is very strange. I mean, Carrie knows Miranda's obsessed, but she doesn't tell her. So Miranda leaves her, of course. Look how they've styled Carrie. She looks so old in this dress, with the hair pulled back, and what is this Jackie O dress thing? And you should see the shoes. The shoes are horrible. They're like flip-floppy little kitten heels with like puffs of fur. They look like bedroom slippers. She is wearing bedroom slippers with this outfit. It is hideous. Hideous styling. Just absolutely hideous styling. And I don't know why they would do such a thing to her. Then here's the straight women saying that their husbands think there's something wrong with them because they keep watching Che Diaz's Netflix comedy concert over and over and over again. Yeah, there is something wrong with you because that thing wasn't funny. And there's nothing funny about this character. This character is actually just stupid. Miranda is upset. Che's not paying any attention to her. And so, she's getting all upset. So then they have this whole back and forth thing, and Miranda's, just gushing over Che again, and it's gross. And then there comes the fight with LTW and her husband, and and Harry and Charlotte walk in, and this is very funny because now they have been those people in front of Harry and Charlotte too. So this is a fun thing. It's funny. This was one of the only times during this whole series that I think I got a kick out of it. This was kind of harken back to old Sex and the City, where there would be these dichotomies of things happening, and it would, one thing that happened earlier in the episode would come back on somebody else later on. Then they do this thing to Carrie, and they auction her off for a date. She would never have said yes to this. And then they call her a sex writer, and it's just humiliating, and no one is no one is taking the the auction. It's like starts at $500, then it goes down to $450, and no one is biting until Charlotte does, and then it is so awkward. This guy's saying we're all married. We can't go out on a date with her. And like, why would you be auctioning off your friend at a school function for a date? Like, oh, so embarrassing. I don't know who wrote this. This is a terrible idea. And Carrie would never have done this. And I don't know why Charlotte would have done it to her. Did Charlotte not tell her she was going to do this? Because this was brutal. And of course, one of the reasons no one's bidding on her is because she looks so terrible. That hair, oh good God, just pull your hair down, Carrie. So she bets on herself, right? She bids on herself. She bids $1,000 to take herself out to lunch, and then Mr. Pukey Pants, who had taken her out that night and puked all over the place, outbids her by $50 and wants to take her out again. And this was kind of funny. I mean, this is what the show probably should have been after she lost big, was her trying to navigate how to meet new people and how to, not this, I don't know what we've been doing, dragging the audience just through this misery and sadness, and everyone's life is falling apart, and they've changed these characters so much that we don't even recognize them. We physically don't even recognize them, and it doesn't make any sense. So then there's this hideous sex scene with Miranda and Che, which I skipped over because there's nudity and it's gross and it doesn't make any sense, and no one believes this because Miranda is not gay. That was established literally in episode 1 of season 1 that Miranda is not gay. She even kissed a woman and tried it and said, nope, straight, and the woman said, yep, you're straight, and that's how that went. And so now that they're trying to change Miranda to be someone who is more like Cynthia Nixon, I don't understand why, but they're killing the character, and it should really stop. So it ends with Carrie saying, and just like that, there was some hope because she's going out on another date and whatever. It should be noted that Carrie Bradshaw is probably one of the worst writers ever. And I think we've all just kind of we've all just accepted that she's this good writer, but she really isn't. The people writing her column for her in the show use all the cliches in the world, and just like that, and before I knew it, and just, I mean, it just all these awful phrases that writers should never use, even down to naming the show, and just like that shows how many times she overused that phrase. But at least we see her writing. I mean, the last 6 episodes have been nothing about her writing. She has no identity anymore. She's not a writer. She's a weird podcaster. There's so much about this show that I hate now, that I absolutely hate. But I can't stop watching it because these are the characters that, we got to know so well through, 7 seasons now and 3 movies? All I have to say is Kim Cattrall is the smartest woman alive for turning this down. And she should not come back, not for a cameo, not for anything, because there's nothing redeeming about it. They're determined to ruin these characters. They're determined to destroy everything that the 7 seasons before it did, and make us hate these people, because now I just hate them. I hate Carrie Bradshaw, and I hate all of them. I hate Charlotte. I hate Miranda. She's going to blow up her marriage with Steve, and Steve and her had such an incredible and great love story, and they're just pretending like that never happened, with her saying that my marriage has always been bad. No, Miranda, your marriage was not always bad. We saw it. We saw it. This is just insane. So that's my take on And Just Like That, episode 7. It was pretty terrible, and I hope that there aren't too many of these left, and I hope it never gets renewed. Badly done, writers. Very badly done.